Understanding molecules and atoms and how they can be manipulated has always taken serious resources and investment. This graphical exploration highlights several key points from history when those shifts have responded to and influenced the path of both science and humanity. Alchemy was not just the cliché of would-be wizards failing to turn lead into gold. The hearths and equipment in alchemists' workshops enabled them to achieve important and fundamental discoveries, most likely beginning in ancient Egypt. Alchemists were craftspeople and artisans who distilled, refined, or coaxed something useful from raw materials, either to sell in their own shops or to fulfill demands of the powerful and wealthy. Chemistry may have grown out of alchemy, but before the concept of science was formalized, alchemical methods were applied to issues that people may now think of as metallurgy, medicine, dye making, and more. Even the transportation sector once needed alchemists' help. Seafaring ships linked markets and societies, but their wooden hulls were vulnerable to all kinds of growth and invaders. These included shipworms that burrow into and through wood, which perforated many a mighty ship. That's why shipowners commissioned alchemists to develop solutions like growth-resistant paints and sealants, or to make protective metal sheets to cover the ship's wooden hulls. Alchemy's history is shrouded in mystery and legend. So too is the existence of Jabir ibn Hayyan, a court alchemist in what is now Iraq, who lived more than 1,200 years ago. He's said to have written hundreds of books and treatises, accomplishments that helped form the foundations of experimental chemistry. Ibn Hayyan is said to have developed the gold-dissolving solution aqua regia, as well as an apparatus for distillation and processes for crystallization and evaporation. Other researchers working during the Islamic Golden Age may have contributed to the vast body of work attributed to this proto-chemist, who was known in Europe as Jabir. In Europe, in the 17th and 18th centuries, the practice of chemistry, and science more broadly, became formalized. For instance, in 18th century Sweden, a momentous discovery changed the mining industry, which had relied on traveling artisans to refine ore for centuries. Georg Brandt, working at Sweden's Council of Mines, identified and isolated the metal cobalt, proving it to be different from previously known metals such as iron, gold, and silver. Artistic depictions of the skies and seas began to sparkle thanks to cobalt-based pigments. And chemistry, now an established scientific discipline, grew. Many governments, especially those in what is now Germany, bolstered research in laboratories and universities. These new funding and physical infrastructures became crucibles of discovery. Researchers soon isolated manganese, nickel, and multiple gases. Fledgling universities funded by kings or other leaders hired professors for their chemistry departments. Organic chemistry became a recognized discipline. These developments established an entirely new avenue for discoveries and businesses. University chemistry departments spurred the growth of specialized knowledge. Professors, students, and company researchers then brought new insights and technologies to industries centered on dyes, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, mining, and eventually petroleum. Universities, and the science research they supported, grew in the UK, the US, and elsewhere. Throughout the 19th century, science departments provided skilled labor for burgeoning industries, which helped build major chemical companies, many of which still exist. Chemistry students, especially those from German universities, could graduate, join a company, and begin experimenting. The companies could then patent their most promising products and develop them in a pilot plant. The most successful trials would lead to full-scale production. The original chemist could then run the resulting plant, having climbed the corporate ladder. In the mid-19th century, Germans allegedly smuggled plans and drawings of steam engines out of Great Britain. But building and running these devices wasn't easy. Finding a steel recipe that could handle steam engines' demands took decades. Yet it was crucial to establishing this revolutionary form of energy and transportation on the European continent. Fast forward a few decades, and as World War I broke out, many useful products that the UK had been importing from the German Empire were suddenly unavailable to it. The emergence of the Haber-Bosch ammonia synthesizing process and its products, fertilizer and explosives, forced the issue. The British Parliament helped establish the country's own synthetic ammonia industry, funding the construction of a factory based on observations and plans taken from Germany at the end of the war. The UK's initial plant was built in Billingham, in northeast England. It took years for chemists to tweak the steel and plant design to produce synthetic ammonia effectively. While Billingham was originally developed by the government, the area became a bustling industrial center of its own. In the first few decades of the 20th century, technological advances spurred innovation worldwide. Businesses poured resources into developing new materials and processes across numerous industries. Synthetic products like bakelite plastics, nylon, and plexiglass became essential. Pharmaceutical innovation moved forward as well, as researchers first isolated medical molecules such as insulin. Amid a rush of industrial expansion and scientific advancements, World War II approached. As some scientists fled violence and persecution in Europe, the geographic center of innovation moved closer to the US. With the Manhattan Project, the US invested directly in understanding the atom and its power. That effort established the foundations of a network of national laboratories in places like Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The project built the first atomic weapons and contributed to the development of nuclear power. Vannevar Bush, an American engineer and administrator, helped establish and guide the project. After World War II, he helped build the U.S. National Science Foundation and develop the federal government's efforts to fund basic scientific research. The U.S. government also built out its research infrastructure via other agencies, including the National Institute of Standards and Technology and the National Institutes of Health. Meanwhile, Europe began to rebuild its economies, businesses, and higher education systems, with assistance from the U.S.'s Marshall Plan. The U.S. also poured money into research funding in other ways as the post-war economy boomed amid the Cold War and space race. Public research funding surged and helped drive the discoveries that underpin modern technologies, including computing and the understanding of biological molecules. At the height of the space race, in 1966, U.S. government funding for non-defense research reached about 6% of total government spending, exceeding $53 billion in 2022 dollars. The U.S. government provided roughly 2/3 of the country's R&D funding at that point. U.S. government non-defense research spending then dropped and was largely flat over the next few decades. Developments in numerous fields surged as researchers investigated materials and explored activity at the micro and nanoscale. Explosions in computing power accelerated the speed of discovery and transformed many disciplines across the chemical enterprise. U.S. businesses increased their investment in research, and the balance of private and public funding shifted. Partnerships between businesses and universities flourished. Meanwhile, overall research funding expanded around the world. In 1960, the U.S. government and U.S. businesses together had provided nearly 70% of global R&D funding. By 2020, that figure had reversed, with the rest of the world supplying about 70% of that funding. Yearly research funding in China appears poised to surpass the amount spent in the US, if it hasn't already, to make the country the world's largest source of research funding. As this shift was happening, the pharmaceutical and biotech industries expanded. Researchers leveraged new insights and technological advancements to reveal more details of the molecular world. More materials and biological molecules became comprehensible and engineerable. The Human Genome Project, an international effort, launched in 1990. Soon after, a parallel private effort began to generate a sequence of the human genome. The pairing supercharged the pace of future genetic discoveries. Today's boundary-pushing research seeds new discoveries. It's made possible by ideas and insights built upon decades of fundamental research. Recent chemistry Nobel Prize recipients have helped build CRISPR's gene editing potential, as well as design new proteins and predict the shapes of those that already exist. Government and private funding have contributed to these discoveries, which promise further world-changing innovations. Today, artificial intelligence and quantum computing seem destined to shift paradigms and launch discoveries in the chemical sciences. But as 2025 showed in many ways, research funding's foundations can shift quickly. What emerges next will be influenced by two primary factors: how the funders want to spend their money and the ingenuity of tomorrow's chemists. This story is the product of a months-long collaboration between CNN staff members and artist Ryan Inzana. The narrative was shaped by discussions with historians and researchers, combined with details compiled from multiple reliable sources. The illustrations were inspired by archival imagery and period art. We chose to tell the story in the format of a graphic essay in order to feature numerous key events from the history of chemistry and its funding. If you have a favorite historical anecdote to share, please get in touch with us at edit.cen@acs.org.